Hey guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. I'm Mono, that's Mono, and it's December 10th, 2022. This is my partner Steve.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our show.
Yep,
Can't believe it's December, but
it is.
I can believe it.
It is. And we're fresh off a Monahan wedding last night. Our nephew, Andrew, took the plunge, as they say, and it looked beautiful couple. It was a nice. Our sister was up from Kentucky. It was nice. Had a good time.
Great affair, and nice to see the family, and it was a beautiful
It sure was.
Yeah.
So
affair.
Steve,
And there were a couple loyal listeners at the show too.
it were.
Mr. Brendan Conley, hello, sir. Loyal listener.
Yeah, he went off on this Brian Kelly or something last night. It's pretty funny.
He's at the Army Navy game today, so have fun.
It's funny, actually, because that's going to take us right to our monologue, which is sponsored by, of course, Coriano Trucking. And you brought that up, Steve, because that was something that just December 7th, 1941. This December 7th, this past week, this came after our show, but I just wanted to give a shout out to that because that's such a monumental thing. It changed, right? It changed everything. It changed the world, and you brought up the Army Navy game today. We talk about sports because it's kind of fun, but this was the real deal. This is what got us into the big one. And December 7th is obviously what Franklin Roosevelt called it the day of infamy for sure. But sports with Mono and Mono, we love to talk about sports, but when something like that kind of a milestone, believe it or not, it was 81 years ago, Steve. Unbelievable. And then today, like you said, Brendan's going to the Army Navy game. You know, these are comrades in arms, right? These are the people that protect us, and we put all that aside for a football game, and it kind of brings the country together. And I wanted to make sure that we mentioned December 7th, and uh, Sports with Mono and Mono always acknowledges our servicemen and sacrifices they made for the ability for us to talk about sports.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a great. This game, I really sends chills up and down my spine.
It does.
Every
awesome.
year. Um, as Archie Bunker said, WW2, the big one.
That's right, Edith.
No, but December 7th, Pearl Harbor Day.
Can never be forgotten.
Well, it can never be forgotten. And unfortunately, that's something that um, we thought would never be topped as far as
An assault on our
an
country.
assault on our country. So 9/11 obviously somewhat surpasses it, but it doesn't, you know,
In no way
diminish and what Pearl Harbor was. It got us into World War II on both fronts and on. But today is about the Army Navy game.
Yep.
I love the fact that it's really the game. It's really the only college game to watch. But you
Yep.
watch these kids, and they are, especially the seniors. This is their last go, and the rivalry between Army Navy.
Yep.
Folks, there's so much reading on this, and like the hijinks that goes on, and right from stealing mascots and things
Exactly.
like that.
Exactly.
And the point is, I think about mostly the players in this game are the seniors, because this is their last hurrah. And when they graduate, they're giving 4 years minimum service.
Yep.
And
We had to recognize it.
what can I say? It's
Yep.
just a special, special game.
So if you guys get a chance, watch the Army Navy game because the pageantry of it all is really awesome. And we talk about it, that you're right. These seniors, they're going to work now. The school's over. They're going to work and they're going to protect us. And we thank them very much for their service.
And I just want to finish. I had the privilege, and if Jeff Hank is watching, Jeff is a guy who moved to Oakland, where I raised my children. His daughter Taylor. Jeff moved to town, the same age as my daughter Emily. But Jeff played the Army Navy game in the late '90s. Jeff was a lineman,
Awesome.
and the stories that he tells, and that was when Army was like good before the drought, but now they're good again. But Jeff, if you're listening, I know he's there, but the stories that he tells, like
Can imagine.
from the locker
Can
room
imagine.
and the build up of that week,
It's great.
I mean, the intensity of it is.
Yep.
This is no joke.
Yeah. So listen, enjoy the game. And again, we thank them for their service. And it's one of the last football games of the regular season before the college football playoffs. Which let's jump right into that, Steve. Your TCU Horned Frogs. I thought we were going to get bumped out in that loss, but they hung in there. But that moves Ohio State and our friend Luke Whippler right back into the mix. What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't think TCU would lose to Kansas State. I said that, but they fought, man. They came back. This Max Duggan kid is a Heisman finalist.
I think he's a Heisman finalist because of that game last week. He really laid it on the.
Sonny Dykes, folks. I'm telling you, this guy is a great coach. Took over for Gary Patterson. I mentioned that.
Yep.
And then, so you and I debated during the waiting after TCU's loss and so on and so forth. But USC was the wild card here, getting smoked by Utah.
Yep.
I have no problem Ohio State being in the Final Four. I would have had a big problem, folks, if TCU got bumped.
Okay.
Really. I mean, you come in with one loss, you lose in the championship game in overtime, and there was talk about Alabama maybe jumping into the top four. But Alabama's loss to Tennessee, to me, not hurt. I thought that was the death knell for them. I couldn't see any justification. So I'm happy TCU is in the four, right? They have a tough task. They're playing Michigan.
Yep.
Michigan is pretty damn good. But I'm going to go right now and say Georgia is winning back-to-back national championships.
They look unbeatable.
I think Georgia is unbeatable.
They look unbeatable.
I think they're the best team.
And I actually spoke to.
But
Go ahead.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Ohio State is no joke. Now, the second half aside against Michigan, this is a super talented team here. They are. Okay. And Ryan Day, I'm a Ryan Day fan.
I am too.
I think Ohio State can hang with Georgia, so anything can happen. But back to my original point, I think Georgia's going to work to beat Ohio State. And then once they do, I don't see Michigan or TCU.
You know what's so unbelievable
beating them.
about Georgia, right? They had like 6 guys that were like number 1 draft picks, right? And now they're back and just rolling along. And this Stetson Bennett, his record is like 23-1 for crying out loud, right? So that's a good matchup. Yeah, I'm glad to see that matchup. But I don't see TCU getting past Michigan. I just don't see it. To be honest with you, I've been watching Duggan, but I wouldn't have put him as a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. I mean, he showed a lot of guts in that last game for sure. But we are down to the Final Four. But there's one game today, and we brought it up, right, Steve? Today's the Army Navy game. The college football, what's that? 3 weeks away, right? It's like 3 weeks from now. These guys get 3 weeks off.
31st, I believe the first game is.
Yeah. You think TCU can beat Michigan?
I do.
You do?
I don't know if they're going to, but they're in the top 4. Yes, I do think.
I guess, yeah. I guess they can. But anyway, I know you're a Sonny Dykes fan.
Big Sonny Dykes.
I know you are. I know. But Steve, I wanted to touch base with some baseball because there was some free agent signings this past week.
There
right?
weren't there? Yes.
Yeah. Mr. Judge decided, like we said on this show from day one, he is not going anywhere, and he's not going anywhere. He's staying in the Bronx. Good move.
It's
the only move.
Well, it's the only move for the New York Yankees. And Aaron Judge. Let's talk about this real quick here. Aaron Judge is going to be a lifelong New Yorker.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Not many guys can say that. Derek Jeter, obviously, the Mantles, the DiMaggios, right? That comes to mind.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now the San Diego Padres,
Oof, they're loading up.
last second offer him 10 years, 400 million. San Francisco Giants, right? You know, relatively the same offer as the Yankees. But Aaron Judge wanted to be a Yankee. Now, Aaron Judge needs to step. Aaron Judge will be named the captain of the New York Yankees. I don't know
I'm sure that.
how soon that will be, but it's going to happen.
Yep, it will.
But you got to win. You got to bring us a title, Aaron. You have to. And I hate to put this whole burden on him, right? But that's what you got to do. I mean, to cement your legacy, you have to bring home a championship.
No question.
Now, Houston just reloaded, right? The Yankees, because they signed Aaron Judge, we're the same team we were when we got lost to Houston. We really are. I don't know if I want Carlos Rodon in the rotation for the New York Yankees. However, Rodon is on the Giants. Giants are pissed, right? Judge didn't sign with them. The Giants are probably going to overpay for Rodon. I don't see Rodon now coming to the Yankees. But it's about pitching. Yankees need to improve the pitching. And but listen, Aaron Judge back to be a Yankee. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
And the general manager was also signed to another 4-year contract, right?
And I've been telling folks, listen, if Brian Cashman wasn't dismissed 2 weeks after the regular season, I knew he was coming back.
I don't have a problem with Cashman. I got to be honest with you.
Our brother Chris has and my brother Tom have a big problem.
But
I understand where they're coming.
But here's my position on this. He put these guys. He assembled the team. But they hit 220. These guys just didn't perform. I mean, do you hang that on the general manager? I don't think so. I think, I don't have a problem with Cashman. Yes, they haven't won a World Series in 12, 13 years. I get it. But it's these players. I put more on the players than I do on the general manager.
Well, the big argument with my brother Chris is, I would say, Bob Watson was the general manager in '96. Okay, no, right? Watson
scored baseball's 1 millionth run.
Gene Michael assembled this team. It's essentially Gene Michael was the guy who found the talent, the Bernie Williams and everybody.
He did.
The core four and all that stuff. And my brother Chris's big argument is that Cashman won his 4 titles with Stick and Bob Watson's
legacies, legacy players,
groceries, right? And I say, come on, Cashman has always made, to me, good additions here and there, so on and so forth. But the big argument is we're the New York Yankees. We haven't won the World Series since 2009. This is the second longest drought, and we are fast approaching the longest drought in Yankee history.
Had to be the 70s, right? The early 70s, late 60s, early 70s.
Right. So I understand the argument, but Brian, and I keep telling them, they said, unless Theo Epstein, okay, or Andrew Friedman from the Dodgers, to me, are the 2 most savvy baseball talent presidents.
Well, Epstein's got
a organization like I worship these 2. Unless those 2 or one of those 2 decides to, I want to, work for the New York Yankees, I got no problem. But outside of that, find me somebody better than Brian Cashman. Who are you going to hire to replace Brian Cashman?
Because, Steve, here's the point.
And they don't have an answer.
But if you look at the Yankees roster and the lineup, okay, it looked pretty good, right? Stanton hit 220. Donaldson hit 220. I mean,
but Major League Baseball bats too.
All right. Anyway, but so the Aaron Judge thing, staying in New York, I'm happy for it. The 9 years, obviously, all that is just to spread the money out over the course of time, right? I mean, he's not legitimately going to play 9 more years.
It's the deal. I mean, I think about it as Albert Pujols, okay, with the Angels and then finishing up with the Cardinals.
Yeah,
So, for years 7, 8, 9, hopefully it's 8 and 9, hopefully it's 9, hopefully it's none of them. But Aaron Judge at age 37, 38,
yeah,
39, what are you going to expect from Aaron Judge?
exactly.
18 home runs and 46 RBIs.
But you hit it right on
We're
the head.
paying for now.
He
That's it.
has to win a world
There's no
championship
question
in
about
order
it.
to secure this
There's
legacy.
no question.
So one other thing, Steve, this
And will he stay healthy? Again,
course
that's
not.
the other argument of
lower
Oh,
body tightness.
but that's listen, that's been compelling. The other argument is very compelling. We haven't won with him, okay? Right?
Yeah.
We cannot win without him too. Okay. Now is Aaron Judge going to give me 5, 6 years of health?
We'll
He's
see.
going to have to. Is he going to hit 62? Probably not.
If he plays the whole season, it's
So
not
what?
out
If
of
he
the
hits
realm.
50, he's a bum. No, I'm not saying that.
I got it.
But Aaron Judge is the face of the New York Yankees. But yes, he has some things about it.
Couple other big signings though. Dodgers, right? No, who signed Bogarts? Was it the Dodgers?
San Diego
Oh, the
Padres.
Padres. I'm sorry.
And
Yeah,
I don't know where they're getting all this money.
I know. They're
I
spending money like Cohen.
No,
as
they're
they say.
spending a lot of money. The Padres are valued at like last I checked, like $1.7 billion, and you're paying Tatis, you're paying Soto, you're paying Bogarts, you're paying Machado.
Big money.
Yeah, good luck.
And the pitching staff, they're
Well,
paying.
Well, they got Musgrove.
They're getting hit with this luxury tax thing, right? Or
It's
whatever.
fine, but San Diego needs to win
I know.
So if they win a couple championships, obviously the value.
I think they're building a pretty good team now.
I
for
don't
sure,
listen. I'm not knocking San Diego. They're going for it.
They got to lose the uniforms, though, man.
No,
I can't, the UPS uniforms.
I'm a huge fan of them. Always.
In the old ones with the solid brown and white pants, but not
Yeah,
this
yeah, come
UPS uniform. Drives me nuts.
Padres, I love them.
But other big signings, right? Verlander to the Mets, Turner to the Phillies.
11 years. Again, Trey Turner is now, he's 30.
Not yet.
He's 29.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
So
But
you're going to pay, that's another thing. You're going to pay Trey Turner as a 38, 39, 40-year-old
yeah,
shortstop.
A lot of
I don't
money.
think so. But Trey Turner's a good ball player.
absolutely.
And again, the Phillies are another team, right? Dave Dombrowski is running the Phillies. Dave Dombrowski, solid baseball guy. I put Dave Dombrowski up there, not with Friedman, not with Epstein, but Dave Dombrowski won the titles with the Red Sox. Okay, after Theo, Dombrowski was with the Tigers. Dombrowski's a good baseball guy.
Got him in the World Series.
But the Phillies are spending. So,
Yeah.
Verlander to the Mets, I understand it. I do.
That was a layup because he's best friends with Max Scherzer.
Well, I understand it. I mean, the other thing is those two are still two of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball, even though they're 39, 40.
Which means they could go at any time,
That's
right?
exactly what I was going to say. So, caveat emptor, folks. Buyer beware.
Right. On
But-
paper, it looks great, no question.
It does. But
But here was
hey,
another signing, the Mets, and I listen. I like this kid Brandon Nimmo, but I didn't get what this whole we got to sign. He got $20 million a year from the Mets for 8 years. He's a 269 lifetime hitter with 63 home runs. Is that what that's worth $20 million to you? I don't
I
know.
wanted Brandon Nimmo on the Yankees. I think Brandon Nimmo's a good ball player.
He's a good ball player, but $20
That's
million.
the market. So that means, now I'm a little I'm walking on eggshells here that Benintendi goes to Houston. That means I want Benintendi back on the Yankees. I want this kid. This kid's a contact hitter. He's not a 220 hitter. I have enough 220 hitters from Anthony Rizzo to line
Donaldson.
them up.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all there.
I want Benintendi back. Give him like a 3-year deal. And if Nimmo just signed for $20 million, what do you think Benintendi's going to get?
I guess, yeah. He's probably got a higher lifetime batting average.
3 years, $60 million. I want Benintendi back.
For that kind of money, too?
Who cares? What does it matter?
I don't know. They're
What is
gonna
it?
they're
Really?
gonna have to pay this kid Bader at some point too, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
What does it matter to me?
I don't know. And how about this signing, Wilson Contreras from the Cubs? They should have dumped him last year, and they got nothing for him now, right?
Well, the
Signed.
Cardinals.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Molina retired.
Yeah.
Actually. So
I got no problem with Wilson Contreras. This guy's a solid.
no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it was kind of a notable signing.
It certainly was.
you know.
The Cardinals are, the Cardinals are a smart organization.
And how about this? On one other thing. I mean, Cody Bellinger gets $17 million a year. He's a 200 hitter right now. I mean, and he may
Just
never
like his
come
father. Just like his father.
back.
No, but Cody Bellinger, come on, Cody Bellinger got out of the gate with the Dodgers. This guy was,
But there's something wrong with this guy.
crushing it.
Either he's mentally lost his,
but he was
his
crushing
game.
it. I can see this being, to your point, the Cubs signing like Jason Hayward like 5 years ago, who they, they signed from the Braves. Hayward was ripping it up with the Braves, looked physically imposing, left-handed bat, and he was dog shit for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Absolute dog shit. And I can actually see Cody Bellinger, he hasn't been playing well lately, but maybe a change of scenery, Chicago. I mean, this guy's put up some major numbers early in his career.
I bet
But
when,
I
bet when his
if I'm running
agent
the
called,
Cubs, I'm not signing.
when his agent called and said the Cubs are going to give you $17 million,
I'll take
where
it.
do I sign?
I'll take it.
Right? So
Right.
baseball, the signings, there's still a few more out there, but
Yeah.
the major ones.
I
are
want
gone.
Rodon for the Yankees, but I think the Giants are going to shower more money.
Okay.
Just to keep them from not coming to me.
Yep. So baseball is, like I said, just the free agent signings.
Right, now it's hot stove. It was the winter meeting, so now the standard January hot stove stuff and rumors and all this. But Houston again. I can't tell you. They signed Abreu, 3 years.
Did Hayward actually sign with
Hey,
the
Hayward
Astros or
signed a
with
minor
somebody?
league. No, he just signed a minor league deal with somebody. I think the Dodgers actually. And Hayward, take a flyer on, but he's done.
He's done. So Steve, the World Cup, we gotta mention that.
Yeah.
Some good games yesterday, actually. Croatia, Brazil goes to penalty kicks, and they take it. It was pretty awesome.
That's right, big upset, Brazil.
And then the second game, Argentina and Messi, and that went to penalty kicks. We were fortunate enough we were watching that at Thatcher McGee's, right? So Portugal's playing without Ronaldo today. So looks like his career is over as far as winning a World Cup.
I
right?
got no problem.
I like him.
He's been a malcontent over the last few weeks.
He's playing.
I know he's playing.
Is he playing now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they brought him in. All right, but he didn't start the game.
Right, but they're making a statement with him because he's been a malcontent.
Yeah.
But this guy's so super talented that don't be surprised before either the show is on. Before we're finished or right after our show, Ronaldo carries Portugal.
But your guy Messi did pretty well yesterday, right?
Listen, Messi had to do that. Messi had to get that penalty kick, and he did the off-speed thing, and it worked perfectly.
Whatever works.
But listen, I'm rooting for Argentina. I'm rooting for Messi. I want him to get that World Cup for his resume. And there's no debate that this guy is
it's got to be that. You got to win the World Cup.
I'm not saying he is.
Yeah.
I say I'm rooting for him.
I am too.
But yesterday was big for him to score on the penalty kick with basically the world watching.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
that really, I will say this about the World Cup, because of the international thing, it's the World Cup.
England, France this afternoon.
My point is the pressure. Like I can feel it, right? Like I don't have any skin in the game here for the World Cup, right?
Yeah.
But I can also be watching it like we did live with the penalty kicks with Argentina.
You're well aware of what the weight of the world is on these guys'
And
shoulders.
absolutely, especially Messi, when he's got that minute and whatever
Yes.
it is, and he's lining up, and really, we got our pal Diego watching it, and but I can appreciate that's pressure.
It is
That-
pressure.
That's Scott Norwide pressure for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
When you miss the field goal, it's pressure afterward.
Yep.
Right. But the live thing, I just wanted to say.
But it's been
I can
exciting.
appreciate it.
It's been exciting. And this Croatia has manages to
Every-
come back at
Every
late,
World Cup.
Looked like Brazil had it in the bag, and then they come back and tie it up and win on penalty kicks. It's pretty awesome. It's actually pretty awesome. So
Pretty
Diego, I know you haven't missed probably 5 minutes of the World Cup, Diego. So
I'm going to assume Diego's not watching us live right now. That he's actually watching
I would think so.
the World Cup.
I would think so.
And we're going to give you a pass on this, Diego.
So Steve, let's move on to the National Football League. Teams starting to separate. Who's the best team right now in the National Football League?
The best team in the National Football League would have to be
The Bills or the Chiefs?
the Bills or Chiefs. I don't think that's changed. The Eagles obviously have to be in discussion.
The Bengals starting to
The Bengals are
heat
starting to
up.
heat up. But the Eagles at 11-1. I mean, if you just want to go by record, obviously it's the Eagles. Eagles are taking on the Giants tomorrow. They come up to the Meadowlands.
Mhm.
Could the Giants show up and they
Maybe.
can?
Maybe.
They can, maybe.
Yep.
But if Buffalo, now listen, Buffalo lost Von Miller. That doesn't help their cause. Buffalo and Kansas City,
We'll meet up in the championship.
they will. I think home field advantage obviously is very key
Yes.
as to who's going to advance. But Buffalo, I'm going to go with Buffalo because I've been touting Buffalo like anybody else for 2 years,
Mhm.
saying this is the time.
It is.
Now I don't care if you got to go to Kansas City and win. You got to do it. So I'm going to go with Buffalo, even though they lost Von Miller.
Well, listen, it's funny that you bring this up because the Jets are going to Buffalo, right? This weekend.
The Jets are shuffling off the Buffalo.
And this whole Zach Wilson thing looks like I can't see him ever getting on the field unless Mike White gets hurt. I think his days are over in New York.
Fine.
Yeah.
Right? Listen, Mike White, two games. Mike White's passed for over 600 something yards in 2 games. Right? Zach was. It's night and day. You see what Garrett Wilson did last week. 160. Like he's involved. This guy's super talented.
Yeah.
Right. The diversity of having, well, not the diversity, but yeah, kind of the diversity. Mike White obviously is not Roger Staubach or anybody, right? But Mike White, you just see this stark difference. Mike White's an NFL quarterback, okay? Zach Wilson is not. Zach Wilson, there's something wrong with his processing, his immaturity.
And you and I we were all in on him.
Listen,
and
I can't say I wasn't.
he's immature.
I
Exactly right.
fell in love with the arm, the crazy throws, his pro day, his youth, all that stuff. The one red flag I did miss, and I talked to my dear friend Frank, Zach Wilson supporter. Well, he's wavering, but Zach Wilson was not named a captain at BYU.
I know you talked about that.
I know,
on
and
that
I
show.
can't tell you the importance of that. Like, I didn't know that at the time. And if I did, red flags would have gone all up for me because it would have said he doesn't have the respect of his team.
He doesn't have the leadership
The
qualities.
exactly.
I think, yeah.
And if I knew that, would I, would I have wavered from the Jets taking him? Probably not.
Yep.
But what's going on now, I wouldn't have been as surprised as.
But this is
that's my point.
Yeah, but this is a great time in the NFL to have like guys like Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and this guy Joe Burrow, right? All playing at the top of their game.
Yes.
And I figured out it's been
Burrow and
driving me
Herbert.
crazy who Joe Burrow looks like. Like you brought up that Daniel Jones is a dead ringer for Jim Carrey. Who do you think? Jim Brewer. That's look next time you see Joe
How
Burrow
about
on the
Macaulay Culkin?
But those are three great quarterbacks in the AFC, man. And Hurts is really the only one that's kind of lighting it up in the AFC.
Well, that's
I mean, the NFC.
and again, that's the point of Joe Burrow,
You were right
Just-
on him. I'll give you credit,
Justin
Stephen.
Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. Now, Jalen Hurts, we watched him at Alabama. We watched him win a national championship. We watched him get benched,
For
right?
Tua, right?
For Tua. We watched him with dignity and grace and maturity handle this.
Did.
And that's, so you have to credit the Eagles for those characteristics of Jalen Hurts. He's a leader. He's respected by his teammates.
Yes.
He's a runner. He's a passer. And listen, I couldn't be happier for Jalen. I hate the Eagles.
I know.
Everybody knows it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean I dislike Jalen Hurts. I think Jalen Hurts is the epitome, and Burrow and Herbert and Josh Allen, obviously, coming out of the gate. And then when you have a Zach Wilson, he's like a little punk. He's like a little bitch.
He's not in that. He's not in that elite class.
He's not. And I don't know if this wake up call. And again, I'm touting the Jets. I said this. I think they're doing the right thing. Salah, like his press conference, and I loved it. But I think Zach Wilson's habits, they're inbred. I don't see him.
And they may be unfixable.
That's it. So go ahead. You can look at the film. Go ahead. Keep looking at the film. He's probably still seeing what he didn't see before.
Yep.
If that makes sense. And it does for me as a quarterback.
It does.
So I don't know. I think Zach Wilson's days are done in New York. I really do. And the good thing about it, like we've talked about, it's not Sam Bradford. Meaning he's signing for 8 years for 100 something ridiculous amount of money, where your franchise is crippled because you can't.
Right.
I
agree. But I tell you, I love watching this Patrick Mahomes. It's almost impossible for me to think, to ever bet against Patrick Mahomes.
Super talented, awesome. Really. And again, I'm saying Buffalo, but Kansas City. I mean, who would be shocked if Patrick Mahomes?
I'd be shocked if either the Bills or the Chiefs didn't win this. At least get to the Super Bowl, right?
And then you got to throw out Baker Mayfield out there. He's probably one of the best quarterbacks ever to enter the NFL with a super performance on Thursday night.
Boy, that was a DraftKings special, boy, because nobody picked him to come off the bench, and ridiculous. Anyway,
he got his progressive commercial. That's great.
He did. So let's do our weekly pick, Steve. This mono was 3-0 again. I've been on kind of a roll lately. You were 2-1, pretty respectable as well. Jump right in with my picks, and we talked about the Jets are up in Buffalo. Buffalo, hands down. Allen runs wild. They take it to the Jets tomorrow. Houston, Dallas. God, this is one ugly football team, the Houston Texans, right? So I don't see any reason why the Cowboys will take their foot off the gas pedal. They're playing pretty well right now, and I'm going with the Cowboys easily over them. And Jacksonville, Tennessee. Tennessee is a hard team for me to figure out, right? Henry's not having this standout stellar year. They look good one week, they look crappy another week, but I told you I was never a buyer of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still not sold on Trevor Lawrence. I'm going with Tennessee. So Jim's picks: Buffalo, Dallas, Tennessee. Take it away. Your pick, sir.
This is too easy this week. Buffalo, Cowboys, Kansas City.
Okay.
Kansas City over Denver.
Buffalo, Dallas, and Kansas City. Who's Kansas City playing?
The Denver Broncos.
Yeah, what a
Train
mess.
wreck. Absolute train wreck.
Could you see this coming? I mean, when they signed Russell Wilson, and I'm not hanging this all on Wilson, or just having a horrible year, but when they signed him, everyone's like, "Oh, that makes them a Super Bowl contender." I said, "Not hardly," and they just I don't know what blew up in Denver. How do you
How would you
explain
like
this?
to be a Denver fan? The whole, the capital that you gave up to get Russell Wilson, and it's a complete disaster. Nathaniel Hackett obviously will be fired after the
He
season.
will be fine.
They're a mess.
One and done.
And I swear to God, I don't see it getting any better. I don't see it getting any better. And you're saddled with Russell Wilson. That's it.
You know what? It seemed like a good move at the time. I mean, did he just hit a brick wall and just became not the Russell Wilson we've
don't know.
accustomed to see?
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
he's not the Russell Wilson.
certainly this year, but no possibility he has a bounce back year. I mean, is he done at 30? What's Russell Wilson? 34?
Is he done?
Wondering.
You need talent around.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Russell Wilson. When you hear Russell Wilson has his own office in the stadium,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, it's ridiculous. Come on,
I'm sure Tom Brady has his own office too.
I don't think so. No. But as stupid as it sounds, and yes, it sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you, this isn't going over well with players. This, that, and the other thing. It doesn't go over well with me. The locker room is the sanctuary. That's it.
Is this any different?
What goes on in the locker room stays in the locker room. That's where camaraderie is built. That's where, right? How many times, when we played football, the locker room, when you win a football game, folks, for those that haven't played football,
something special.
It is something special. It really is. Because when you break your ass all week, you're yelled at, you're filthy, you dog, it's cold, whatever it is, right? Your teammates, right? And I don't care who shines that day or who doesn't. As long as you got one more point than that other team,
yep.
And then after the coaches are done with the talking and everything, and you go back to that locker room, it's like an hour of just pure exhilaration, of camaraderie,
bond,
that bond amongst your warrior friends.
Our bond has never been broken with our locker room teammates, right?
It is. And some of the funniest things, and I'm going to say the shower, and I just mean this when you're
figuratively,
right. But when you're in that shower, there's like 15 of us, whatever, filthy, and you see dirt going down the thing. But the laughing, I just can't describe it. It's just a pure enjoyment of friendship, camaraderie, right?
And as strange as this may
and the
sound,
humor that comes out is unbelievable.
But you know what? As strange as this may sound, even the locker room, it's so special when you lose a game. And that bond is just as tight when you lost the game, right?
Listen, when the tears are flowing, yeah.
Which they do.
And listen, when you win, it's a lot louder. When you lose, it's as quiet as can be. But you hear tears, and I've been guilty. Old
we'd be kidding ourselves.
River, that old man river. But that is what it's about. It's about going to war together, figuratively. Talked about Army, Navy. That's the real stuff, right? But I'm talking on a level of you would do anything for your teammate.
And that's
then there's teammates that upset the apple cart and don't appreciate it. Now, it's back to Russell Wilson. I'm not saying Russell Wilson is being a cancer there. I'm just saying.
I guess it's not a good look.
I don't think everybody is bought into Russell Wilson or the Denver Broncos, and that becomes a problem.
But doesn't that make you appreciate a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen even 10 times more what Joe Burrow means to his team?
The list is
a
Terry Bradshaw to a Joe Montana to a Ken Stabler to Bob Greasy,
Yep.
Unitas. Go on.
It is. So anyway, the NFL games will be tomorrow. Couple of random points of interest, Steve, and that's sponsored, of course, by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. Fred Crime Dog McGriff got elected to the Hall of Fame. Thoughts?
Thumbs up.
Me too.
493 homers. Original New York Yankee draft pick, Fred Crime Dog McGriff.
Who else had 493 lifetime home runs?
One Henry Louis Garrett.
Of course.
Fred McGriff is deserving of the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
Toronto Blue Jays, part of their World Championship team. The '92.
When I saw him play,
the Crime Dog and the Braves, great career.
When I saw him play against the Yankees for the Blue Jays, it was the longest home run I've ever seen hit.
I can see that.
It was, he's a left-hander, Yankee Stadium, and this was up there. It was unbelievable.
Again, to me, George Brett against Gossage, 1980s. To me, the longest home run I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
But hey, 2 thumbs up for Fred McGriff.
Crime dog.
Long overdue.
And Bonds and Clemens shut out again.
Yep.
Good.
But isn't there it's still
They're going to get in because of this silly. There's a silly committee. Blah blah.
Yeah. Right.
They're going to get in, but they're not getting in the way they should, like the norm.
Yeah.
They're going to get it.
Another random point of interest. It was kind of funny, and I didn't realize the guy's name. That was Jack Edwards, and Jack Edwards was the guy from ESPN, right? In the early days, probably one of the original guys,
He
right?
looked like he was 8 years old.
And he made some cracks about Pat Maroon. Did you see that?
He did.
Pat Maroon was known as Fat Pat when he was growing up, but I never viewed him as this big monster-sized guy. But Jack Edwards was giving him the business, and Pat Maroon handled it pretty cool. Did you see that story?
I did.
It was pretty funny. They call him the Big Rig now, but he's got a couple of rings, right?
Damn right he does.
I thought that was funny, but it didn't put
Pat
it
Maroon
together.
came back to the St. Louis Blues. Hometown gets the ring.
Yep.
Right? Didn't he have 3 in a row?
Yep.
Right. So Pat Maroon can, he can knock him out all
He
he
did.
wants. He's got a good demeanor about it.
He sure does. That was my point. But I didn't realize that Jack Edwards, it was literally the guy from ESPN.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun. Another one, interesting fact. This guy, Taysom Hill for the New Orleans Saints, became, what was it? The first player with 9 touchdowns, passing, receiving, and throwing. Interesting.
Yeah.
Last guy to do it, Frank Gifford.
Giff.
Pretty versatile, right? But that's a pretty interesting fact, I thought. This
No,
Taysom Hill guy, he's been a scrapper kind of thing.
Listen, Taysom Hill.
And you brought this up this morning. We were just talking about kind of a 2-way player, multifaceted guy. You were talking about Gordy Lockbaum from Holy Cross, right? Heisman Trophy finalist in 1992.
Say
Later?
Lockbaum was probably it's close.
95.
I'm gonna go, no. Say 1990.
Is it that far back?
Maybe 89.
Yeah, he was a good
Actually,
player.
89.
Yep.
Hey Rob, can you please look that up? Gordy Lockbaum, Lockbaum.
Yep.
What year he was a Heisman finalist?
Yep.
I think I'm gonna go with 1989.
Yeah, and Steve, let's bring this up because the Brittany Griner situation, right? And I bring this up because we talked about this on the show, you and I, about 2 months ago when Bill Richardson came on the scene and said negotiation, and we said if anybody could get Brittany Griner out of Russia, it's Bill Richardson, and they pulled it off. And yes, we could debate the motives, the politicalness of it all, but I wanted to bring that up and acknowledge that this Bill Richardson guy is something from a negotiation perspective. I don't know the bells and whistles and how it all came down, but she's coming home and the Marine sits.
Bill Richardson is Clinton administration, all that stuff.
Oh, former governor of Texas, too.
New Mexico,
New Mexico.
right?
Good call.
Bill Richardson. I know his resume. He's a good guy.
Yeah.
Okay, and he's done these negotiations before. Brittany Griner, yeah, of course, American citizen, come back, yeah. But I really, I mean, I have to say this. I think the price tag is way too much here
It is.
for somebody like to give up this angel of death, Victor Bout.
He's an evil man.
He's an evil man. Yes.
So sports becomes political, and that's exactly what
I'm
happened
not
here.
diminishing getting her back. I want our audience to know that.
No, of course
But
not.
I think the price tag here of giving up a villain of
A murderous, evil villain
major proportions here.
Yep. Who's back at work right now.
I think negotiations could have gone on a little bit longer.
Yeah.
But listen,
Well, I hope
she's home. I don't wish that upon anybody, right? But again, okay, she's the one who brought the stuff into Russia. It's not like they just grabbed her, randomly, and are holding her, in exchange for a Victor Bout. No, she has to accept responsibility. However, when you go into Russia, okay, don't be surprised. Don't do it.
And hopefully they can.
Left a Marine back who was not, even though he's a Marine. This guy,
he's not a choir boy.
He's not a choir boy, but that's the other aspect.
And hopefully they get him home. That's my point.
Well, yeah. Well, I think both of them should have come home for that price tag of this scumbag that they gave back to Russia.
Yeah.
Who's laughing and was drinking, vodka and caviar
on the way home,
on the flight back to Moscow.
Yep.
But welcome back. I mean, listen.
Yeah.
She's not a bad person at all. She's an American citizen.
Absolutely.
And I'm glad that she's home.
But I just want to acknowledge Bill Richardson. When this guy gets he gets it done.
No,
he gets it done.
He knows. He knows.
Steve, couple notable passings this week, and one from the world of entertainment, Bob McGrath from Sesame Street.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Literally one of the original guys on the show. When we grew up, we watched
90,
him.
I think it was 90.
Yeah, 92 maybe.
Yeah, 90. But Bob McGrath. Yeah, I mean, I'm 57.
A lot of people may not know the name, but for sure they would recognize the face.
Of course.
Right?
You know what's funny about it? Like, because I was watching. Well, he passed, and then I did a quick search, and then Buddy Rich came up. The legendary, the world's best drummer ever, and Buddy Rich. So there was a clip on Sesame Street of Buddy Rich, which Animal, right? The drummer, the Muppet drummer, Animal, right? Was based upon basically Buddy Rich. And there's this clip. It is so funny. It's like a drum off, like Buddy Rich is on the set of Sesame Street, and Animal's like, you got to see this. This is so funny.
Yeah.
But that's, it was part of Sesame Street. Bob McGrath was, forever.
Had a good run.
Forever part of it.
Had a good run.
Yeah.
And another one from the world of entertainment, Kirstie Alley, right? Passed away, 71.
Kirstie.
Yeah, it is Kirstie, right?
Kirstie.
I think I said Kirstie, and I said correctly.
Kirstie,
they say.
Rebecca from Cheers. And
she's good in that role.
The former Mrs. Parker Stevenson from the Hardy Boys.
That's right.
Listen, she had a nice career. She did some movies.
Look Who's Talking was a good movie, actually. I liked it. And I can't say I was a diehard Cheers guy like you were. I know you were. I wasn't so much, but she had a good role. She was also in this new Star Trek thing or whatever. And
listen, 71, she had cancer.
Yeah, going quick.
She had a good life. Kirstie Alley was a fixture on TV for the 80s, basically. She came on the scene. So yeah.
R.I.P. to Kirstie Alley.
R.I.P. to Kirstie Alley.
Here, Steve, from the world of sports, Mills Lane.
Yeah.
And I did a little research on Mr. Lane. He had quite a career, this guy, man.
No doubt.
85 years old.
tons of championship bouts. I mean, the bouts.
He was a Marine. He was a lawyer. He had his own TV show. But he was literally a welterweight armed forces champion.
Of course.
Right?
Right.
And
How
big
name,
is
with
Bill?
that name? Come on.
Oh.
Come on. Put him up. Come on.
And of course, he's noted for refereeing many good fights.
Oh,
And,
God,
the
the list is endless.
the Tyson Holyfield fight, the ear
Right.
thing,
The
right?
Mills Lane in the 80s was the referee you wanted for a bout. Sure, Ali's on his resume.
But he was about making money. This guy,
Yeah,
too, man.
no, but Mills Lane was part of boxing lore.
A pug, as they say,
And,
right?
listen, like again,
Tough as nails,
a Marine and a great American.
big time.
Yeah, Mills Lane. Yeah, listen, Mills Lane, no question.
He actually, when the Tyson Holyfield, when he bit his ear off, it was a Mills Lane, got blood on his shirt. Sold it that night to a memorabilia guy.
Probably. I say it.
Funny, right? Funny.
Yeah, Mills Lane, R.I.P.
Yes, it was. And I didn't really know a lot about this guy's work. Grant Wall, from my soccer guy, covering the World Cup over in Qatar. I'm sorry, Diego. 48 unexpectedly, pretty well renowned in the world of soccer.
Yeah, he was
Shock.
yeah,
Kind of died in the press box.
unfortunately. Yeah, Graham Wall, no doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
48 years old. So listen, with the World Cup going on, I wanted to note that. So unfortunately, those are the notable passings this week. And again, we love to hear from you, and we're getting more and more fans listening to the show. And guys like Brendan Conley last night, it was great talking to you. And send us an email at sportswithmonoandmono@gmail.com,
Right.
please.
Brendan is an astute sports guy.
Certainly is.
Brendan is what, 30 now, maybe tops,
Yeah.
something like that. But knows his stuff, and I thoroughly enjoyed discussing sports with guys like that. Really,
What it's all about.
yeah, absolutely.
But listen, enjoy the day and enjoy the Army
One
Navy
question,
game.
Rob, do you have that lock bomb answer or not?
Gordy lock bomb.
I had an internet blip, so I just came back on.
No. What year did Gordy Lockbaum the finalist for the Heisman? Lockbaum. Can you look him up?
I'm going to say 92.
Gordie.
Gordy. Holy
I'm going to
cross.
stick with 89 or 90.
Well, we'll look it up.
No, we want the answer here. I want the answer.
Let me pull it up right here. All right, Rob. Right? Gordy lock bomb.
Said he graduated in 88.
88?
88. Wow.
I
Yeah.
said 89.
Wow, good
88.
call. Can't believe it was that long ago, man.
Right.
But anyway, thanks for joining us, folks. Rob, thanks for pulling the strings, and we'll catch up to you guys next week.
Thank you, Robert.